Hey friends, welcome back to another video. My name's Lefebvre and today we are going to be painting a simple spooky landscape. So let's jump in and get started. Hey friends, before we jump into today's video, I just wanted to send out a quick reminder that this April 2025, I'm going to be teaching a watercolor retreat in the south of France, and there are still a few spots left. This watercolor retreat is going to be absolutely amazing as we are staying at a gorgeous venue. We will have a private chef. We will be taking day trips to a vineyard, the town of Albi, sketching on site, and of course, learning all there is to know about watercolor. If you're a little hesitant about where you are on your watercolor journey, this retreat is for everyone, beginners, intermediate, anybody and everybody who just wants to paint with watercolor and learn the most that they can. All the incredible details are in the link below in the description, so please check it out before it sells out. And now we can jump into the video. Okay friends, so today I am going to be painting kind of a spooky looking landscape. I'm going to keep it really loose and have fun with it. And for my paints, I'm going to be using the Sumi colors from Kirtaki, which I've done before. They're really dark and moody, which is fun, but I think I might only use one color and just work on values with this. So I've swatched the colors here quickly, and I'm thinking more of like the bluish kind of gray vibe for this. And then after that, I'm going to be using some white ink to draw a little ghost to make it really cute and spooky. So that's what we're doing today. I'm painting in my Etcher Lab cold press watercolor sketchbook. So it's the perfect sketchbook. And the reason why I've taped it off like this is I'm finding that bigger pages seem to overwhelm me, and I feel more successful when I break them down into smaller areas. So I'll just quickly show you kind of little landscapes and stuff I've been painting in here. But just making it smaller so it's not as intimidating. So that's why I have it kind of broken down in half here. And then I can paint other tutorials on the other side and all that. And yeah, so let's jump in and get started. So like I said, this is going to be on the looser side, not worrying too much about detail, but just kind of having fun with it. So I'm going to start by, I think I'm going to sketch out a little moon that I want to keep white. So I'm going to just do a little circle here like that. And I'm just going to lighten it up. And I'm going to paint, use my brush. So I'm going to grab a bigger brush, like my size 12, and I'm going to paint water all around the whole thing except for that circle where the moon is. Now I'm trying to put my head in closer just so I can see exactly where I'm placing it, because obviously water's clear and you can't always see it. You can kind of see a glare of where you're placing it, but sometimes it's hard. If you find that's difficult, you can always just grab like a little bit of color just to see where you're placing your water. So we're going to be doing some wet on wet to start. So I like to have it nice and wet. You just get some better blends when you're doing a larger background if you have it wet. So again, I'm just going to add some color here, just so I can see where I'm putting it. And you don't want too much water that it's going to pool in any of the areas, but you also want to make sure there's a nice kind of shine off the paper so you can see that it's all evenly wet. Okay, now is the fun part where we get to be just creative. So I want to leave kind of the center as light as possible. I'm going to grab a little bit of color and just kind of place it all over with the lightest value, and then we're going to work on darker values as we go to the sides. But you don't want it just completely white in the middle. You want to have that glow from the moon. So the lightest part around the moon. Just trying to keep it all wet. Okay. Now I'm going to start placing in some lighter trees. that are going to be in the background. So I'm just going to grab some color and I'm just going to start putting in these kind of tree shapes like that. And they're going to kind of bleed out, right? And be a lot softer because we're doing wet on wet. I don't have a ton of pigment. I know it looks a little dark, but it's not that dark. Kind of wish this was a bit more blue. I wonder if I use the purple. Maybe purple? Oh, we can just keep it gray. That's fine. I'm just gonna grab some more color and I'm just gonna start to do like a little bit of land kind of coming in. Maybe some darker trees here. And we're gonna do some sharper stuff. I'm just trying to get kind of this background of these blended out trees. I'm going to try and leave it a little bit light in the middle here too. And it's going to be the darkest at the sides. I think I like the purple color better. Okay, so now I'm going to let this dry and then we'll do some more kind of detailed stuff in the front. Okay, so actually looking at this, it's a little too gray. I kind of wanted a bit more blue and this is just not giving me as much blue as I'd hoped. So I'm going to grab some indigo from my palette and I think I'm going to do a light wash over the whole page with indigo to have this kind of blue tint. Even the moon. Do I want indigo? No, not indigo. I want maybe Prussian blue. Yeah, just like a really light wash over the whole thing. Let's see if this works. Just so it has a tint of blue. Like that. Then I'm going to take my paper towel and I'm just going to try and lift up a little bit of that moon. Okay. There. Now I'm going to let that dry a little bit more. Okay, so now that that's dry, I'm going to use a little bit of this, but mostly my Prussian blue, I think, and my size 8 round. So I'm going to grab a little bit of the blue here and Prussian blue. And to start with a light wash, we're going to do stuff in the background. So like some trees and stuff like that, but because it's dry, it's going to be more structured and detailed. It's not going to be as blended out as this. So I'm going to just start by doing some even lighter than that. Some trees. Like that. And if you have a shaky hand, this would actually be perfect for you because you kind of want that shaky tree branch. You can even go right in front of the moon. And try and get as light as possible. And then we're going to try and we're going to go darker and darker as the trees move forward. There's going to be a lot of layering in this. You're going to have some of the ground back there. You can do a little bit of dry brush where you're just kind of dragging your brush without a lot of pigment. try and do a little bit more to the center here. The further the trees are away, the lighter they're going to be, kind of like they're in the fog, and the smaller they'll be. Okay. And then we're going to let that dry. Okay, and now we can get a little bit darker. So add a little bit more color. Add a little bit more darkness to this. A little bit more blue. Not too dark. We still want to do another layer, but darker than that layer. So we're going to have some trees. Again, have that shaky hand. Even like loosen your grip on your brush, and it will help to get that kind of shaky tree trunk. A little bit more color. You can even have another kind of layer of the ground. And again, I'm not using too much pigment. I kind of want this dry brush because it helps kind of give the illusion that there's light on the ground when it's not completely dark. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? When you don't have like a solid dark ground, it acts like these little light areas act as though that they're little bits of light. You can even have like little kind of, I can't speak today. Little bits of leaves still on some of the branches. Sometimes it helps too if you have a liner brush to get the really light, thin branches, which I might switch to in a second. I'm trying to be so light with these branches. And I'm just kind of coming down on an angle, like there's a bit of a pathway here. And I think we're going to put a little ghost there after. I like it. It's spooky. Just get really loose and shaky. And I'll get darker as we get closer together. Trying to you can even have like little bushes here, so just little like mini trees almost. We're going to do another round of darker trees too, so just keep that in mind. Little bits of grass. Just get really creative with it. Kind of like that. Okay, I'm going to get a little bit more smaller. If I can find my liner brush. Where's all my brushes? I have a liner brush here somewhere. In all of my brushes. Here we go. Liner brushes are just really nice to get those really thin, long brush strokes. I'm just just gonna, not too dark. Just get a little bit of the, gotta have some of the lighter ones back there too. Kind of want to get a little bit of some leaves. So I'm just going to take my brush, kind of break up the bristles a bit. Just like there's still some leaves left on some of the trees. And then once we add that final darker value, it's going to really help make it pop. Okay, so let's dry this. Okay, and now we're going to get the darkest value. So using lots of paint, so it's nice and dark. Okay, and I'm just going to start by doing the kind of the ground, because it's going to be, these trees are going to be the closest to us. So I'm going to set the ground of where they're going to be coming from. A little bit more. Okay. Then I'm going to have my dark, bigger trees kind of coming right in the front here. I don't know why this is, I need to like really wet this up. Not a lot of pigment coming off of it. Okay, there we go. We're going to have these dark branches. One thing to keep in mind when you're painting branches, they're always the thickest, closest to the trunk. So when you're doing a branch, have like place heavy pressure to start and then start to lift your brush so the branch gets thinner. Okay, it looks the most realistic when you have it the thickest, closest to the trunk. Okay. That is spooky. Okay, I have one here. More blue. Okay. And you just keep going with all of these layers until you're satisfied with how it looks. Okay. And then if you want to just add like little bits of like twigs or grass kind of sticking up from this ground that we've created, you know, like long grass. And break up the bristles a bit. Like that. And there you go. Okay, so let's let this dry for a second, and then we're gonna do a cute little ghost in the center. Okay, so for our cute little ghost, I'm gonna be using my Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof White ink. I love this stuff. It's nice and opaque, but also when you water it down, it can be a little bit more transparent, which we kind of want for our ghost anyway, right? We don't want it to be super, super dark. So I'm just going to take some of the white. I sometimes like to put it on my lid here. And I'm just going to draw the outline of our ghost. Okay, like that. Just take a little bit of that white off so it's a bit more transparent, because you kind of want to see behind it. You want to see through it. So it's nice and transparent. Then it's like the fold in the sheets that are going to be a bit more opaque. So get that layer to start. Okay. Then see how you can add a little bit more white so it looks like the folds. Really make it like that. Okay. And then we're going to let that dry. I'm going to go back in with a little bit darker color, and I'm just going to go like under it so there's like a bit of a shadow almost. Like the ghost is casting a bit of a shadow. Okay. A little bit more darkness right underneath. Then, yes, it's dry. Then I'm going to take some black for the eyes, and I'm just going to do 2 little ovals. It's always a little bit harder to do it with a paintbrush. If you want to do it with a pen, you can. And then lastly, I'm just going to take a little bit more of the white, nice and opaque, and I'm just going to create a couple more creases. There is our fun kind of Halloween spooky landscape. So much fun to do. Let's pick off the tape and just kind of see what it looks like. Thank you all so much for watching my video. I really hope you liked it and I hope you learned something. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and follow me on all my other platforms for tons more content. I'll see you guys again soon. Bye.